Hello, welcome to News Center. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Chinese President Xi Jinping is likely to skip the G20 summit in New Delhi next week. A Reuters report has said that Chinese Premier Li Qiang is expected to represent the country instead. However, spokespersons of India and China have not confirmed the developments. This speculation comes days after India launched a protest against China's standard map, which professed territorial claims over Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin. To discuss that and more, we are now joined by Anil Trigunayat, former ambassador and distinguished fellow at the Vivekananda International Foundation, Ashok Sajjanhar, former ambassador. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us on the program. Ambassador Sajjanhar, if I could begin with you, Xi Jinping not coming to India for the G20, what is the message that China is trying to send out?
I think the message that China is trying to send out is that it can stay away from the meeting without any problems for itself, without any repercussions, without any implications. But I think the decision would have been taken by China considering what the ambience is going to be, what the environment is going to be in Delhi, and it is definitely not going to be an environment that was as conducive as Xi Jinping had found when he went to Johannesburg for the BRICS summit very recently, or for that matter, when he went to Samarkand last year in September 22 for the SEO summit, because here there would be a large number of adversaries, so to say, that would have collected. And of course, with the host, they have the most adversarial of relations. So possibly, although Xi Jinping had also traveled to Bali last year, but he would have thought that in the fitness of things, it would be best not to come here. I would say that from the perspective of India, it is, in my view, it is good that he is not coming, because then the focus of the whole meeting, of the media, of everyone, can be on the substantive issues as far as the G20 is concerned, whether it is the impact of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the economic impact in terms of the food shortages, the fossil fuel shortages, fertilizer shortages, supply chain disruptions, etc., rather than on political matters, political issues in terms of the bilateral that he would or would not have with Joe Biden, or the bilateral he would or would not have with the Indian Prime Minister. So I think that would have been very distractive from our point of view. We want to focus only on the development issues as far as G20 deliberations and summit are concerned. So I think in the overall situation, it is good that we try to separate politics. We try to keep politics out of the equation. Okay. And so
I will return to you, Ambassador Sajjanhar. Let me also get an Ambassador Trigunayat at this point. So Ambassador Sajjanhar is saying that it's in a way a good thing that Xi Jinping is not coming. That would have distracted attention from India's larger agenda. But we need China's support on coming to consensus on some critical points, such as the common framework on debt restructuring, reform of multilateral development banks, digital public infrastructure, cryptocurrency framework as well. With Xi Jinping not coming, do you feel there will be overall a lack of support from China? Ambassador Trigunayat?
Well, Parikshit, as Ambassador Sajjanhar has said, it is absolutely right. In fact, it is true that it will have a lot of distraction. But at the same time, China happens to be a major player in this game. And especially for the G20 and the success of it, now that President Putin is also not coming, who will be represented by Lavrov, and then you have a prime minister from China coming here to represent. And there are several issues on which we do need a full consensus from all of them as far as Delhi Declaration and going forward from there is concerned. So it is important. But then, of course, Xi Jinping, just after a meeting with Prime Minister Modi in Johannesburg, their country goes ahead and starts a new cartographic aggression. Now, that is the kind of thing that is not going to play out very well here. So he has definitely read the weather around. And I think that instead of wading into it, he thought that to underplay it. Now, whether they are designing that somehow or the other, the summit does not become a great success because the two major protagonists against whom the rest of the Western world is gathered would not be there. Now, that is something that is going to be we have to see, because right now we have just seen there is no confirmation from either of the governments. What we have seen is only a statement from the Reuters quoting some officials. So we'll have to see whether officially it is the stance of the Chinese, because from day one, China has been saying that we support India's presidency of the G20 and have all along mostly played along as far as the G20 matters are concerned.
Right. Ambassador Sajjanhar, coming to you, what could be the possible reasons for this? We are looking at a flood-like situation in some parts of China right now. There's a Belt and Road Initiative also going to be held. Are there domestic priorities, or there is international messaging, not just to India, but to Europe and US as well, by skipping this G20 summit?
No, I think as far as the international arena is concerned, I don't think there is any particular messaging involved in that. If there is a messaging, I think it is to the domestic constituency, in my view, basically because I think China is facing problems, facing difficulties at home, both as far as the economy is concerned, its real estate sector is concerned. Also, we saw on the security issues. So I think, and what China has been trying to do is it's been trying to project a very strong image of itself, of its president. And the fact that if he had come here and there would have been so many contentious issues, normally, as I mentioned, the two meetings, summits that he went to, BRICS and SCO, there the land was quite even as far as Xi Jinping is concerned. So there was no problem in projecting that sort of image. But I think here, if you want to send out an image that you are in control, you are being recognized as one of the preeminent leaders of the world, I think in Delhi that might not have played out that well. And so sending out this message, and of course, maybe trying to portray it back home that this is a sort of a snub for India. But I don't think it is a snub for India. I think it is China is doing itself a disservice by not being here. Responding to your question, I think the fact that if Xi Jinping comes or Li Qiang comes, the Prime Minister comes, I don't think that their participation, cooperation, or otherwise, as far as taking forward the substantive issues in G20 is concerned, that there is going to be any difficulty in that. I'm sure, all of them follow the party line to the T. And I'm sure there's going to be no difference in that, whether she is going. It's only atmospherics as far as she is concerned. I would say that the only downside that I can see is that in any case, there should be normalization of relations between, some move towards normalization of relations between India and China. We've seen baby steps being taken in Bali and in Johannesburg. And here there would have been an opportunity to sit down, whichever way the two sides decide to project it. But then we have seen that China is also not willing to play ball, in addition to what Ambassador Trigunayat has said about issuance of these maps. And later on, China says that you shouldn't take it very seriously. These are just routine matters, and don't overinterpret and don't react so much. I think it is taking this issue to the to absurdity, and also this is the problem that we would. And even as far as the meeting in Johannesburg is concerned, China comes out and says that it was done at the request of India. There was no need for saying that, whatever might be the reality of the situation. So I don't think China can really be expected to play ball here. We'll have to wait and see. I think our focus will be on substance, and that is what we would like to take it forward, irrespective of who attends from China. Parikshit.
All right. Ambassador Trigunayat, returning to you, do you feel that the meeting that happened in Johannesburg, the informal meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi, did not go very well? And this could be one of the reasons why President Xi Jinping has decided not to come to India?
Well, I don't think so that meeting, in fact, was essentially Prime Minister Modi would have definitely raised the questions of the boundary and the border disputes and the problems that is happening to de-escalate the situation, return to the 2020. All these are important things. And I think that that was very much there. But at the same time, I'm quite sure Prime Minister would have reiterated the invitation to President Xi Jinping to visit. But it looks like that after that meeting, when there was something, it was expected that he might come. One of the reasons is that important issue is about this map that has come up, and that no further progress has been made on the border. So, as has been mentioned, that this is like his response to that. The Chinese response is that it's really totally absurd that you can't be objective about your sovereignty. I mean, it's as simple as that. So this is a very important issue, and that has created a lot of fracas everywhere. And India is definitely peeved by these kind of designs, which do not augur well for a relationship going forward. So China has to basically think, and President Xi Jinping obviously would not like a very cantankerous kind of an environment. On the one hand, he will have these Western countries chasing him to denounce Russia and not cooperate with them. On the other hand, he has a problem with India on the borders and others. So you cannot completely dissociate the bilateral ambiance from the multilateral format. But of course, as far as we know, I mean, and has been claimed by our foreign minister also, that more than 95% issues, all the countries have the consensus. So the only cantankerous issue at the moment remaining is the inclusion of reference to Russia-Ukraine war. I mean, that was going to be Chinese position, China-Russia position, one is aware of it. So whatever it is, whether we talk about geoeconomics but it is driven by geopolitics and will be driven by geopolitics.
Right. Okay, my final question to you, Ambassador Sajjanhar, very briefly, could you give us a sense that now we're nearing the G20 Leaders Summit? When it comes to summits of these kind, how much work can be done by leaders at the last moment when they actually land? Or has the bulk of the work, 95% of the work on the communique, already been done? And do the leaders only need to come and sign off on it now?
You know, 95% of the work, as you say, Parikshit, has already been done, if not 96 or 97%. But it is the last 2 or 3% that is really critical and crucial, because those are the areas where the leaders, the ministers, you know, now there have been so many ministerial meetings that have taken place at different levels, finance minister, foreign minister, development minister level, commerce minister, so many of them, where those are 1 or 2 or 3 issues where the ministers are not able to come to any sort of consensus or any sort of agreement. Those are the issues that will come on the table. You know, that is where the buck stops. That is, they will come onto the table of the leaders, and they will be required to have a look at them, and they will be able to take really a political call on that, political decisions on that. And I think that at times does become very, very critical and very, very crucial. And here also, I think some sort of a language on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, I'm sure our negotiators are burning midnight oil over that, and hopefully we will be able to see some sort of an acceptable language, but there might be 1 or 2 issues which will go up to the leaders to take a final call on. Parikshit.
All right. Ambassador Sajjanhar and also Ambassador Trigunayat, thank you very much for joining us on the program. We're taking a short break, but coming up, the upcoming G20 summit will showcase India's cultural heritage and diversity. Minutes to be a part of the food menu. An exhibition for G20 guests is on the card. A special conversation with Apurva Chandra, Secretary of the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, on the other side.